Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art, and I'm popping in bright and early this morning because I wanted to show you something a little different to paint for fall. I know we've done lots of canvases lately, and we've got lots of cool ideas coming for Halloween, but I have picked up these little pumpkins we have a place near me called Christmas Tree Shop. I don't know, you guys have that near you, or I'm sure Michael's and Hobby Lobby and all of the places have all the fall stuff. Dollar Store maybe. I'm not even sure. They're just very light styrofoam resiny pumpkins, and I want you to be thinking about not just canvas and wood and slate you can paint on in fabric, but keep your eye open if you're at a flea market or a yard sale or any little shop. If you find something that has a little blank spot, you can put paint on it. Morning, Bonnie. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's last minute, but the recording will be up there. So if you didn't make it live, guys, I'm still here. Put some questions in the comments if you have them, even if you're watching this later. So I have picked up all kinds of little doodads lately that I'm going on every day this week to paint for you. But these little pumpkins, I love, they come in different colors, and there's bigger ones. I have a good assortment here. So I'm going to quickly put some flowers and things on them. They're nice because not just for Halloween, although if you got some and wanted to paint funny faces, you would have a pumpkin that will last. You can do a funny face on there. But these I'm going to do more florally. They'd be nice in a grouping. They'd be nice just set in a flower arrangement. Oh, thank you, Bonnie. That's because I got it done yesterday. Otherwise, you've seen me wearing a cap all the time because I can't do it like the hairdresser does. But thank you. It'll look like this for a few days, and then it'll look crazy again. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera down so you guys can actually watch what I'm doing. But I sometimes feel like I can see you face to face if I'm looking at you. Hi, Shelby. Hey, thank you guys for jumping on. Let me move the camera down, and I have to turn it, so hold on. It's like a roller coaster ride. Here we go. I want it to be right side up for you, so we're going to swing it around. I'm going to put this up on my computer so I can see if the angle is good and if you have any comments or anything. So let me just get this organized. Let me pull you up here. And I want to make sure you can see before I start. It's hard when it's an angle like this. And I am on a little delay there, but let's see. Let me get it a little bit closer here. And that's better. I'm getting there. I'm better. I'm going to hold them up as I paint too. So let's get this out of the way and we'll arrange these guys. You can see I have some little ones and I've got 3 big ones. I have a surprise one over here that I'm going to show you in a minute. And what I'm going to use for colors, I just put out some random colors on my palette. Just these colors are my fall go-to colors. My couple shades of orange, burnt sienna and brown, burnt umber, white and black. I like my phthalo green and yellow to make my own greens. I still love that apple tart green. That goldy yellow. You know what I didn't put is my other favorite is I'm always pulling out is like a yellow ochre or a golden ochre. I threw turquoise on there for fun. I don't know if we'll use that or not, but let me get some of that little yellow ochre out. Really, just look at your paints and anything that appeals to you and is a little fall-like, grab them. You don't have to really use whatever I use. I really stress that you make things your own. I'm going to use some one-stroke flowers on here, which are really fun, and you'll see when I load the different colors on my brush. It's a little stroke sometimes that takes practice, but I do want to show that to you. So to start, what I'm going to do is actually paint my flowers in here in white, because if I went right into my color, I'll show you. Say I want to do a yellow sunflower and I go right on here. Look, you can't even see it. So I'm going to give it a little base of white. White, you know, is very opaque and it helps all of our translucent colors show up. And I know I'm going to put little flowers on here, so I'm going to go to a smaller brush. This is a little filbert brush, which I like sometimes because it's got a rounded tip. And I'm going to make maybe like sunflowers. Yellow on this purple will really be nice. So my flowers that I'm going to do yellow, I am going to just paint them in white right now. Now, those could certainly be little daisies, which are perfectly fine, and I will do some of those. We don't need to base coat them. But I'm going to go ahead on some of these guys This I'm not going to worry about because I'm going to do a darker color on here. But I think this big purple one I'm going to do sunflowers too. And since it's dark, let me get just a little base coat started. Can you see the brush stroke I'm using? I'm using a flat brush. It could be the filbert. I just don't have a big filbert. I'm sort of starting from the outside of where my flower is going to go. Press down that petal and pull it in. I want them a little bigger maybe on this guy because he's a good sized pumpkin. So I'm really just pressing and pulling it in. This is just white to give us a base to paint on for our yellow sunflowers. And I'm just going to get I have some reference photos on my computer here. I'm going to put that, and I'll switch back and forth to questions if you have them. And I like to do them sort of like little bouquets almost. Little ones peeking out. I have one whole flower, and then I have some that are just peeking out. There's not a big area on the front of this pumpkin to paint. If you wanted, you could wrap that design right around the whole pumpkin. I rather do a little design on the front today to show you. We're just letting those dry now to get that little base on there. And I want to do some with some roses. I do some one-stroke roses. This guy here is going to have, yellow is not going to show up great on him. So I think I'm going to do little daisies on this guy, really. So I'm just going to use the brush. I'm going to go to my filbert. I'm switching back and forth. If I had a filbert larger, I'd probably use it, but I'm going to use this little one. This pumpkin's a little smaller. I'm going to make these some white daisies. And so it's not just a base coat. This time we're just pressing and I'm pulling that petal in. It's like a pollywog. Press and pull in, press and pull in. And maybe do a couple of big ones here. And make sure you can overlap them. They don't have to all be on their same level. It's like a little bouquet, so things would be on top of one another. But I always like to put a few just peeking in from behind. You could do as many as you want. And like I said, you could do it, wrap it right around. Now, again, because of yellow being translucent, their centers are going to be yellow, but for now, let's just paint them in white so that they really pop later on. So that's my little one-stroke flower really for daisies. It's just press and pull. Now we've got to deal with these greenish pumpkins. And what colors? Oh, maybe a purple rose or a purple flower on this guy. Another way to make a one-stroke flower is I want to do a purple, maybe like a maroon. Let me get a dark purple out here. I have a nice dark purple that I was using last night when we were painting some fall things. When I do the one-stroke roses, I like to start with a fairly dark color, and you'll see why, because I'm going to take that dark purple, I'm going to load my brush, I'm going to get rid of the white that was on my brush, so I'm going to quickly rinse that. I'm going to go and peek at the comments if you have any, and make sure the view is still good for you. But if you, oh hey guys, I see you there. Okay, good. I think you can see me, and I'm just going to rinse off. When I wash my brush out between colors, I really want to dry that paintbrush off well. I don't want water dripping into when I'm making these strokes. I'm going to take that dark purple, load my brush, but now I'm going to take just the corner of that little brush and dip it in the white. So you can see it's just got a little bit of white on the corner. I usually pat that off on the palette just to blend it a little bit. And now I'm going to go right onto my pumpkin. And you can see when I do the strokes, the white is where the white is to the tip. So I'm going to just do kind of a little, that's my little back of the bowl of the rose. Sometimes you can get away with 2 strokes, but then you're going to have to reload. I take a little purple again, back into that little bit of white, and just blend. Now I'm going to make my petals. I'm just wiggling that a little bit. But can you see with one brush stroke, 2 colors on my brush, you can get a nice little flower. And like I said, sometimes there's enough purple on there. I'm just going to dip into the white and just give it a little. There's my outer petals. Now I'm going to go back in and just cut in some little petals here that wrap around. It's a decorative rose. It doesn't look super realistic, but it reads as a rose, and it's really kind of fun. And you can make those in any color. You can make them sometimes just a little bud. You can make a little closed bud. I sometimes do a few of those. I usually go in threes or odd numbers. I don't want to just put one rose just plunked like that. But we could also change up the color a little bit. So let's do one more purple one. Then we're going to do maybe a pinkish one. So I'm going to do one more purple over here. And I just, like I said, I'm just dipping in tip of the brush to that white. I'm just wiggling the stroke a little bit. Some of them can be more closed up. Just bring these in a little tighter. Some could be smaller. You can add as many little petals in there as you need. And now I'm going to just dry up the brush because we're going to go into maybe this maroon. Let's try this and see what it looks like. A little maroon, same technique though. A little white on the tip. And I am going to do the same strokes there. Just want to make sure you can see them. I'm painting a little close here. So let's just do the same thing. I'm doing a little bit of that back of the bowl, the front here. Dipping in the white, just to get that contrast. And I know roses probably aren't what you would think to put on pumpkins, but if you put a few of these together with different flowers, it's really a nice little fall display on your mantle or your table. We'll mix in a couple of buds there. And I think I'm going to leave it because I am going to add leaves around here and some little flowers. So that's probably not a bad place to leave that. What are we missing? Our little, oh, we just are missing something on this guy. What should we do? I'm trying to coordinate my colors a little bit. I put my teal out, but that's not going to really fly. This is kind of like not a great color green. White, of course, would go well, but we've got a lot of that. Let's try some orange. Maybe a little orange flower. Let's see if that shows up. Again, orange is a little transparent too, so we may have to add a little white, but I'm gonna go between this really dark red orange and my light orange. And again, and you need a little bits of fresh paint for this when you go in for the white. I've kind of contaminated that with some of the pinks and purples. So I'm getting a little fresh white. I'm going to take a little bit on my corner of my brush. It's a little different with the filbert because of the rounded edge, but let's just see if we can do. It's a little translucent. I think it will work. If it was too translucent, I could always do a second coat. It's subtle, but I don't mind it. I kind of like it. Doing a different shaped flower here. I'm loading my brush just like we did, taking a little bit of white on the tip just like I did, but I'm making a petal kind of like, let me get, it's easier to show you a little bigger. Let me just get this brush back and look at the white. I'm just making my petals like this. So instead of doing the rose with the shape we did, I am just going to go around, keep adding the white as I need it, and voila, we have a flower. We'll put a little center in that. Then when I do these a lot of times too, I will put a little piece sticking out of the edge here, like a few petals from behind. So anyhow, let's go back and put a few little petals sneaking out from behind here. This is a little big for this little tiny puck in that brush. I'll go back to my filbert. And just a few peeking out. And I have them all in the orange. You could certainly do different shades if you want. I'm going to go back because you know what I didn't do is put my white in the centers here just to give me a base so that the yellow will cover that purple. I should lie them like this so you can see them. I'm just a little afraid they're going to roll away. This is just going to be where the yellow centers will be. All right, so we need a few leaves here and there. And I am going to use, again, I use my flat brush really when I'm doing these one stroke flowers. Let me see if I can do this so that you guys can sort of see them on the camera a little better. As long as they don't roll away. Okay, leaves. I'm going to make up a little bit of a lighter green here. Just using, this is a phthalo green. It's kind of a blue green. I really like it when I mix it with my cad yellow though. It gets some nice shades. So I want to get a middle shade green. And I'm going to get a little bit of a darker. I'm going to take a little black, mix it with some of my green here. I want to show you a little stroke you could do almost with 3 colors on your brush. Let's try that. Let's see how this works. I'm going to just load my brush with green. I'm not sure how things are going to react. I've not painted on these pumpkins before. I'm not sure how the paint reacts. So we're just going to go with it. And if we have to adjust or fix it, I'll figure out something. I've got just a medium shade of green on my brush. A little corner in the white like we've been doing. But I'm going to stick the other corner in the dark. And then I just pat it out to blend it a little bit. And let's see if it's going to show up. Oh, it is. Great. So I'm just making little leaves. You can make them all shades of green. I've just started with that middle shade, a little translucent there. Adding this white on the tip does help. And I just make little leaves peeking out wherever I want. That's enough for that little guy. I'm doing the same on all of them. Just get some leaves on there. I might pop on some flowers on top. So again, I just load with a medium shade of green. I dip a corner into white and a corner into that black green. It's a big brush for this little pumpkins, but I'm staying with it because I don't feel like going back and forth. And just as you see, if you're losing some of the white, you're losing some of the dark, you can just pop it back in. Okay, the 2 little guys, I'm gonna set here for a minute. And let's go with these, the roses. Now, green on green, will it show up? I do not know. Let's try it, because I can always adjust the colors. A little bigger leaves here. We can always, yep, that works. That shows up. It's not bad at all on that sagey green. I'm getting a few strokes without having to reload here. So let's get the green back, a little white, a little dark. And I'll give it a little wiggle just to give that some shape to that leaf. I'm just filling in any little empty spots. You could go out farther if you wanted. You could, you know, overlap them. I think that's enough on that guy. We'll do that. Oh, the green is going to pop nicely on this orange, I bet you. Let's try that. And if I wanted to, I could mix up some sage greens, some blue greens, and use a whole variety. But I just want to show you guys a cool subject to paint on, and just some quick little one-stroke flowers. But yeah, that's going to show up nice on that green, on that orange. Can you see how I just fill in any little empty spots? I can adjust them. Like that little guy picked up white from the flower, so I just kind of touch that up. You can do them sticking out in the middle where you're overlapping things. Sometimes I do like a little group of 3, kind of like that. And we'll swap over. Purple, let's see if I might have to lighten up the green a little bit for that one. Let's try it first though. I'm gonna try just what I'm using and see if I need to lighten that or not. Not bad. It's not bad. It shows up. A little bit of white in my original mixture will make it more opaque. Have you guys painted on any unusual objects? I'd love to hear about it. I've seen it on all, you know, you can paint on anything. The pocket of your denim jeans, your denim jacket. Fabric is cool to paint on. I use just these acrylic paints that I'm painting here. I do a lot of glass too. I use a little different paint. I use the all-purpose enamel paints, acrylic still, for my glass. But glass is also fun if you find some cool glass pieces. Alrighty, leaves are on everything. Cool. Okay, so let's do that. I think my base coat may be dry of the white, so let's get some yellow on there so we can kind of do some sunflowers. I do my sunflowers in some layers, so let's try a little different. I think I put my hand in a leaf, but okay, so I want some dimension to these guys, so I'm gonna start them almost like a little bit of a burnt sienna, kind of a dark orange bit. I'm gonna get those leaves painted with that. I'm trying to avoid my wet leaves. Some of my white is still wet there, but that's okay. I'm using dark orange and some burnt sienna just covering the white of those petals up now. Can you see how it really pops where the white is? And I am going to do some little white flowers around, but let's get some nice bright sunflowers. When I paint most things, I start darker and then lighten it up as I go. And when I get to that final really light color, it really pops nicely. So I'm going to build up to some light yellows here, but let's just get a base of an orangey, burnt sienna to start those little guys. Okay, just on these two here, which, oh no, this is going to be my white daisy, so never mind you. You go back to your place. This little guy, same colors. I'm just going into any of my oranges and burnt siennas, and I'm just going over those petals. And I'm going to get lighter as I go. Sort of the same color scheme as when we're painting our pumpkins. If you've watched, we've been painting some pumpkins lately. Doing all kinds of fun fall ideas. I've showed you some of the paintings that I've been working on, and I will pull those out again if we're waiting for something to dry, but I want to get right in. Let dry for 1 second. Let's put the centers in of this guy. No, we're jumping around a lot, but I am doing a bunch at once, so yellow centers would not, look at, would not have shown up at all. Look at, I'm painting right on there, you don't even see it. But since we have the yellow, the white underneath, look at, now you can really see those guys. I'm going to just fill them in with yellow for now. Got yellow centers. I might want to shade, so maybe I'll take a little bit of that yellow ochre just on the corner of my brush. And just on one side I can make that a little darker. It's not showing up that much, but maybe if I take a little orange. Let's see. Yeah, I just want it a little darker on one side of my center. And I think I might just put a little dot in the middle of that afterwards, but that's good. And what else? Oh, these guys are going, they're going to have brown centers. Those are our sunflowers. This little guy, when I have a orange or a flower, pumpkin, a flower on a pumpkin, I just do a dark center on that. So maybe just a little burnt umber, just for now. We got a little more to do on here, but that's just for now. And we're going to go back now, and let's go to our purple. I love the purple pumpkin. Let's get a little lighter orange and then some yellows on there. Actually, I might try just this yellow a little bit. It's not showing up a lot, but it's giving me a little bit of a yellow tone to those guys. Paint's a little wet. I know I'm wiping some of it off, but when I get the lighter bits on the very top, I'll start working. And also I do have my heat gun standing by, or a hairdryer you can always use to speed up the painting a little bit. I use it a lot when I'm painting with you guys live, just so you don't have to wait too long to see the finished results. I might hit that in just a second. Actually, I might set it aside and we'll just go and do the roses. Finish up all the little ones, and then we'll put the last few touches on these sunflowers. Okay, so let me set them aside to dry a little bit. Now, say we'll go back to, let's go back to the roses. And I've got my roses and my leaves, but it's a little blah, so we need to add some little, I just, with these guys especially, we'll just add some little flowers in between and overlapping. I always go from the outer edge and pull in. That way I could start a little thicker and in towards the center, get a little thinner stroke. I add these little guys everywhere. I think they're a nice filler. You could do these and also do some yellow or some other colors of pink and purple. Sometimes they're a whole flower, sometimes they're just peeking out. The further out I get from the design, I don't do big whole flowers out there. I just think it is nice to kind of taper off a little bit. And I'm going to mix some yellow and white together just so that that center pops a little bit instead of having to base coat it in white first. Because I've added a little white to my center, it is showing up for it a little bit better. So that's that. Then we have some little bits of roses that are just floating in space here. So sometimes they would have, you know, a little, You know how the rosebuds have this little casing of green around them. You can also do some that are just almost buds and just do these little leaves here, or you can just put that sort of thing. It just looks like a little rosebud, and this guy would just have a little stem. If you wanted to, with a smaller brush, you can always add little tinier leaves here and there. I don't know if this color will really show. Oh, it does a little bit. This apple tart green is kind of cool. I just finished it up with a little bit of a vein in my leaves. When I'm doing fine work like little veins and little lines, I do thin my paint down a bit. I want some white. Let's thin that down because we want that to be more like ink, to flow nice. Go into my liner brush. I don't know where my small liner brush is. It would be so much easier, but I do like the liner brush for the veins. So let's try to do it with this big one. And I start always at the base and work out so that I can get a line a little thinner. So I'm pressing a little bit and just pulling that vein right off of the surface. If I just lift the brush off the surface, I'm going to naturally get a little finer line. And you can add whatever little details for these little veins that you like. I usually start tucked up behind the flowers and just work my way through. You can put little ones there if you want, or just leave those little guys floating. I can probably get most of these done with just a brush load of paint because the paint is a like an ink tech. Oops, oh God, I don't want them to roll away. Hang on, we got a little boo-boo there. Okay, so I'm just gonna go around and give my little leaves a little more detail. You can see the difference. Look, it's a little blah here, but look, that's really looking more finished. A couple more here. And if you want to be real fancy, you could do some little curly cues. Might be a little difficult on these on this bumpy guy, but you could just do, you know, kind of a little this sort of thing if you want. It really is not easy on the bump, but let's just see if we can do it. It's not great, but you get the idea. And voila, I think that could be done. What do you think? Roses on a pumpkin? It won't be bad, like if they're all sitting together with different flowers. And let's go to the little guy here. I'm going to do since I've got this on my brush, let's do all the veins of all of the leaves just for fun. The little ones don't really need a lot of detail. And we'll get these done. And we might as well be assembly line here. I did put in the description the link because I am on here painting quite a bit just to show you guys who maybe have not painted with me my style, how I go step by step. And I wanted to let you know that I do have an art membership that is opened as of yesterday until October 5th, and it's pretty cool. You may have heard me speak about it before, but there is a link there. If you click on it, you can get more info. It's a reasonable price of $22 a month. That gives you 2 live Zoom classes with me and 2 either recorded or Facebook Live classes. I do exclusive paintings just for the group, and in addition to the painting classes live, which is great because I can help you in real time, I have a whole library in there of some paintings and tracers that you can work on your own. You're welcome to use these paintings for anything you'd like. You can make little things like this to sell at craft fairs, and I share all kinds of little tips and tutorials, how to paint water, how to paint waves, little short classes as well, all organized nicely in a private Facebook group. Everything is also emailed because some people aren't on Facebook, so everything is emailed as well. I'm very active in the group to help with whatever you need. If you are stuck on something, you can message me, email me a photograph. I will print that out and kind of work on it with you to correct anything you need or give you some ideas. I encourage you quite a bit to go on your own and paint things as you would like, not just what I do. As I paint, I give you all kinds of options and ideas to change up the colors and the elements and really create your own paintings. What else? There's no commitment, so you can try it out and see if you like it, but it's open just until October 5th. That way I can close it again and concentrate on the members. Okay, I'm going to finish up these two and do this sunflowers last. So my daisies, I sometimes will go in with maybe a dark green or some sort of a brown liner brush still, and what I'm doing is just making some little, can you see the little lines there on the petals? It could be actually a brown on this color wouldn't be bad. You could have done them orange. Just give a little something to the petals. So anyways, if you think that might be of interest, something that you might be interested in, let me know. I also do some paid class. I have a lot of free classes, so check out my site, check out YouTube, Tinker's Cart Art. I've got lots of free classes there. You can kind of see how I work. If I do have any paid classes, all of those classes are streamed right into the membership free. They don't pay the extra fee if you're a member, which is another little advantage. All right, center of these guys, there's not much to them. I just make a little dot of brown. Could be burnt sienna, burnt umber. Sometimes I do little pollen dots around. I've just got this cool little dotting tool. It's really fun if you're painting rocks or mandalas. But you could certainly just use the tip of your brush or the back end of your brush for little dots. And sometimes just for the heck of it, I just do a little series of dots just on the bottom half of your, I'm spreading green paint on here. But just on the bottom here, it's just like little pollen dots, which I will put on my sunflowers too. Sunflowers, I put them all around. And this, you just grab any color you have on your palette, some browns, some oranges, some greens, whatever you would like. You can do some white ones. And when I hold it up, and again, you'll see, just adds a little something to what we're doing here. So can you see it's just a little something? And that could be done, maybe a few curlicues or some smaller flowers, but I do like to sometimes take the white paint, and I want to use, I know this is a bigger brush, but it has a better point on it. Sometimes just, I go in and I take, it's a little stronger white now. I just give those petals a little outline. I'm not trying to follow the petal at all. I like to have it kind of rough and almost maybe sometimes going out over. I'm just roughly, quickly, just giving a little outline to some of them. It's going to deepen up that white. They're a little see-through. I kind of like that. But then when you add this little bit of white on there, it's kind of cool too. And if you wanted to fill in even more and get, because sometimes it's hard for me to just stop, I'm going to take some yellow and a little white to make it a little more opaque. And you could just even do little flowers peeking out like we did with the white on the roses. You hardly see them. They're really not much. They're just filling in a little bit. They're very close to the color of the pumpkin, but I like that they're subtle. And if you wanted, I would maybe just take and give them a little center of a burnt sienna. I know it seems sort of detailed, but it's really not. You see how fast I'm painting those guys. Sit you over here. This little one we did, I do add some more little white petals behind, like those little flowers. I'll give them a little yellow center. I can't wait to see them all sitting together in a little grouping. And maybe just pop in a little bit of a yellow center. I'm actually kind of just blobbing that in kind of thick so that it shows up. The paint's a little thick now from sitting out, so I'm just kind of blobbing that in. Now the centers look like they're staring at you a little bit. They're a little bit blah. That's when I go back to my little dotting tool, take some white paint, and just make those little pollen dots around the center. You can even put one in the center. One in the center, and I'm going to go around. If these were bigger flowers on the bigger pumpkins, I would maybe put some little vein lines on those guys too. But that's all that needs. So that little guy is done. Okay, 3 down, 2 to go. And I'm going to hit it with the heat gun for a second, so block your ears, and I apologize. It will only take a second. I just want to dry that so I can get those nice, bright yellows on top. That one's dry. Just a couple of spots that are a little bit thick on there. Oop, too much, kind of bubbled. Let it settle down. Okay, I'm gonna go for a brighter yellow now. So to get it to show, we are gonna mix it with some white, going into my yellows, getting some white, little strokes on top. I like that you can see the orange through there a little bit. And those are going to be my sunflowers. I know sunflowers sometimes have all those little tiny petals in there too. I kind of made mine a little wide, but you could go in and really make some little ones in between if you wanted those real, you know, the sunflowers with all the little petals that are on top of one another. I'm doing it a little lighter and I kind of like that look. Okay, now for you, which I kind of bubbled up with my, I guess the heat gun might be melting the styrofoam. You know, these are real quality. All right, I'm gonna brush on that brighter yellow, and then I am gonna do those in-between petals because I like the way that looked. Could even do some of those in some of the golden ochre and the yellow ochre color. See how it's coming alive though? You can kind of see the dark underneath. You can see the layers I've been putting on top. That's why I don't paint them just right out of the gate all just yellow. I want some variations. Oh, that's a center, so we got these guys. Now let's, go ahead and let's put some of these, because you know these guys are sort of, that yellow ochre is not really showing up. Let's add some white to a yellow, a little more. I want to just put these, these guys sort of peeking in. The way the sunflowers do have a little more going on. I've been painting away, so I will look at the comments in a minute if you have any questions. And you can put them in any time. If I don't see them now, I will get to them. There. They need some big dark centers to make them really sunflowers. And I do a really dark center. My burnt umber is just not dark enough. I need a little black. And you know what? They're pretty round. So let me get my brush here and I can really make a nice shape. A nice round, cover that right up. Yeah, and those are looking like sunflowers. Okay, there we go. Right, we still have a little detail on them, but they are very sunflower-ish. Will that stay? It will. Same thing here. These guys that are in the back, you don't see the big round center, but you do see part of it peeking out. Same there. You can make these as big as you want. I actually accidentally grew a huge sunflower this summer. I do not have a green thumb by any means. I have tried for years to grow sunflowers, nothing. This year I had I just couldn't concentrate on the yard, and I had done very little yard work. Didn't plant anything in the back, and lo and behold, I have an enormous sunflower. Okay, that is that. I like to put some little white flowers peeking like we did, and then I'm going to finish up those centers, and we are done. I know I probably kept you guys a little bit this morning, but you can watch it in bits and pieces if you want. The little guy, just little white petals peeking out. On a small one like this, I don't even know if I'll do any whole little flowers. I'm just going to put them all peeking out and popping in some yellow centers for them. They're vague, they're little, they're in the background. Be kind of pretty painted all around too, actually. And for you, my purple friend, these guys, we will do some flowers. So can you see, I'm just gonna pop those on, whole little ones here and there. And then we'll just put the peeking out guys. I have a little rose on the back there. I was practicing just to see if the paint would adhere to this surface. Sometimes if it's a slick surface, you have a little trouble getting the paint to adhere. So I wanted to test it at least that much before I popped on with you. And it's nice to have them almost overlapping sometime in the middle there. They can overlap the leaves. They don't have to always be behind or between. And now we just need some yellow centers. And that is showing up a good bit because I'm really globbing that on pretty well. It will really take a little while to dry. I love the orange and yellow popping on that purple. Don't you love that? I play orange or yellow against purple a lot. Okay, for the centers, I usually just put a little something in the middle. I'm not sure if it's going to stick because of that being wet, but I will go in maybe and just do something that's going to show up, like maybe a little stroke of orange. Sometimes I do purple, blue, just so it's not a big black hole there. Maybe a little purple. I got this light purple. Let's see if it shows. Yeah, I can always throw a little purple in there. Can you see I'm almost doing like 2 C strokes around, and visually it might just look like it's got that little dip in the center. I will sometimes, even if it's a big painting, go in and just make a little bit of black in the middle so it looks like that little dip in the center of the sunflowers. And you can do some little veins if you want. I usually just do pollen. Get just little pollen dots around the middle, and that is around the whole center. Unlike the daisies where I just did it on the bottom, and don't ask me why, that's just the way I do them. I don't know why. And these pollen dots can be any color, again, that you have on your palette. I just go and just do all the colors. I just randomly put them around the center. Now some can actually go on the center. I am not trying to stay on the center or on the petal or on both. I just randomly put them on, and then they're going to look more natural and scattered than contrived and placed. I go into, you know, orange, maybe the dark orange, any colors you have. You can do green. It just adds a little color and a little something something there. You could do, I've got some maroon, whatever you want to add. See how it adds just a little something? Do some brown if you want. So there, let's see if I can sort of line them up without them rolling and hitting everything, because they'd be kind of cute as a little, you know, you could have them all together, not sideways on their backs like this, but, you know, in a little, I would move him and there. Kind of cool. I'm going to pull you up and see if anybody has any questions or anything on the comments here. And oh, Sandy, yeah, because you we do have Christmas tree shop near us here, so you can go buy some. They are at Christmas tree shop. All of those guys are. I just picked them up, and what are they, like $3.99 or something for them? But I think they, even just a couple, just like these two sitting together even would be a nice little thing. I'm going to take some photographs and I'll put those up so you can actually see them. I know it's a little hard there. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to see if I missed any comments. I'll go check it after. I hate to keep, when I come on quick like this, I hate to keep you too long, like, because you're, you know, it's unexpected and you probably have things to do. So anyways, thanks, Kit. Thanks for watching, Margaret. So those are the little pumpkins. So keep your eye open. Look for odd little bits and pieces when you're out here and there. Here's my surprise one, which I couldn't resist at Christmas tree shop. The black raven, and it's all black. But I'm going to paint those bright sunflowers on there. I think it'll be so cool. I'm going to leave everything else black. But I will maybe pop on to do that later, or if I just get a minute, I will show you the video or just show you the picture, because that's kind of fun. So thank you guys for watching. And I'd love to have you in the membership if you want to take a look at that. The link's there. And also, if you guys are not on my texting list, if you text me at this number, I will send you a text telling you when I'm going live and doing these crazy things. So 978-315-5650. Have a fabulous Thursday, everyone. See you later. Bye.